I'm pruning the bottom leaves off of these tomato plants. This specific variety is Brandywine, but as you can see, when the dirt gets on the leaves, the pathogens cause diseases. And so these leaves are starting to yellow, and we got kind of late on pruning them, so I'm just taking all the bottom leaves off. Brandywines are also an indeterminate tomato plant. Indeterminate basically means that they never stop growing. Like, until the frost, they will just keep growing. They're the ones that get like 6-7 foot tall. And then, so Brandywines are indeterminate. They have to be pruned and suckered. And then these over here are Romas. They're determinate tomato plants. And so this one actually has a pretty big tomato on it. Determinate means that they grow to a certain size and then they stop growing. You actually don't even need to stake these. You don't need to sucker them either. If you sucker them and you cut too many of their little branches off, you actually lose quite a bit of their fruit. But with the indeterminate tomato plants, you want to have one leader, which is this guy right here, coming out of the top of the plant. If you have more than one, I'll say more than two, because I think the root system could probably support two. If you have more than two, it's really best to have one. Then it will take all of its energy into producing all those leaves, and it will take all that root system to support the whole plant instead of supporting, the fruit growth. And so what we're doing is, and I've already suckered this one not that long ago, and they just keep coming back. So you just want to break these little suckers off and leave one leader going straight up. So you can actually take this sucker and put it in water and change out the water every day, because if you don't, it'll rot, and it is the worst smell you've ever smelled. Don't ask me how I know. But you can take this sucker and put it in a jar of water, change out the water every day, and it will grow roots. You can see these little hairs. But okay, so if you've ever looked at the bottom of a tomato plant and it has those little white knobby nodes coming off of it, that's actually roots starting to form. And it's caused by, humidity or just being really close to the ground. And basically, tomatoes are a vine. They're not really supposed to grow up. We just make them grow up. You're really making them work against nature when you're pruning and staking your tomatoes, because they just want to vine out and sprawl all along the ground, produce a few tomatoes, and then die. Their main goal in life is to just reproduce and get their seed put out. Another reason why we want to prune our tomato plants is to help air circulation, because the more leaves and the more stems that are on there, it's going to cause the plant to stay humid. It's going to make water stay and sit on the leaves. And that's a big issue with diseases. That's why when you want to water your tomato plants, if it's been really dry, you want to use like a soaker hose, or you want to water down at the base of the plant, because the water will cause diseases on the leaves. That's why a lot of people choose to grow their tomato plants in hot houses, because it has a cover on the top of it and it keeps the rain from touching the leaves, and they just run soaker hoses all along the bottom of the plant. That also helps with diseases, so that's another reason why we want to prune. These bottom leaves, as you can see, we have had a lot of rain, and when the dirt splashes up on these leaves, that's not good. That's what causes the bacteria, the pathogens, the parasites. Every little bit of that comes out of the soil. which causes that. We don't want that. And I'm going to take these leaves and I'm going to burn them. You don't want to put them in your compost pile. You don't want to just leave them laying around because that is potential to spread disease. Now this, believe it or not, is a sucker that I have forgotten about or just missed, and it's already got little flower buds on it, and it's so big I'm just gonna leave it. It's not too bad to have two, like the root system's pretty big. I think it can handle that, but ideally you just want to have one. We're wanting the best fruit possible, and if you have multiple leaders, multiple suckers coming out of your plant, you're not going to get the best quality fruit. It's going to be putting most of its energy into making the leaves. Here is like a baby sucker just getting ready, and this is when they're easiest to take care of. These are alright to take care of too, but you don't want to let them get like you just saw, because then, I mean, your garden is just going to be a jungle, for one. And also, it puts more damage on the plant when you have to cut that big of a limb off. But that's what I've been doing the last couple of days, is just trying to get these guys under control. And here's the dill getting ready to blossom out, and I'm going to pick these off. That way they don't go to seed, but also I'm going to take those cucumbers that we just harvested, and we're going to make cucumber dill cream cheese sandwiches. I wasn't sure what kind of tomato plant this was. Actually, we just kind of lost track of things. And I wasn't sure if it was determinate or indeterminate. I was kind of afraid to prune it at first. Look, this one has 2 suckers coming out here. And so it's absolutely an indeterminate. But look at this sucker here. Like, it is as big as the other plant. Like, the main stalk. So, and here you can see a lot of pest damage to the ones that were laying on the ground. And check out this tomato cluster. This is Brandywine tomatoes. So they're going to get pretty big. But I'm not so sure I'm going to let this one get big. Or let it get ripe. I think I'm going to let it get big and green, and then I'm going to fry it. I've been telling myself that the first tomato that comes in the garden that's big enough to eat, I'm going to pick it green and cut it up and fry it. Because I haven't had a green tomato in a year. I'm doing this early in the morning. It's probably 7:30. I don't want to be out here in the heat of the day doing this, because that's miserable for everybody and a little bit stressful for the plant. So I'm going to get my pruner for that one. That one's big. Here's what my pepper plants are looking like. We're having a little bit of a pest problem on the squash plants. So I think we might be sprinkling some diatomaceous earth, or we might even get some organic pest spray. I haven't really weighed my options there too much. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching this short video on how I have been pruning my tomato plants. I just wanted to make this while I'm still out here pruning and show you that it's very easy to let your garden go wild. It happens to all of us. A couple days of rain and then poof, you have a jungle. Thank you guys for watching, and subscribe if you want to see how these tomato plants turn out, and if we get some big fruit off of them. The first cucumber of the year. second